a number of developments in the East Village. And they were all much taller than the other buildings. The other buildings are mostly 5- and 6-story buildings. And the neighborhood was concerned that it was going to be overdeveloped. There would be a lot of evictions, a lot of market rate, and a complete transformation. And so the community board got involved in rezoning. The result of the rezoning in 2008 was what's called a contextual zoning. The old kind of zoning had no height restriction. There was like how much space you could build, but any height you wanted. And so if you could buy air rights from other sites, you could build to the sky, literally. So they imposed a contextual zoning on the East Village and some parts of the Lower East Side to prevent these skyscrapers, which also, which was our concern, was that it drives luxury developers out of the neighborhood. Because if you don't have these tall skyscrapers, you don't have those expensive views, then the luxury developers see no point in developing there. They go where? They go to the next neighborhood. And the next neighborhood was the Bowery and Chinatown. So the Chinese Staff and Workers Association, who's going to speak to in a moment, we connected with them and said, look, Chinatown is next, and you guys have got to do something. CSW, they're going to explain, CSWA were extremely loud in their protest, and their loudness was so extreme that the borough president told community boards 1, 2, and 3, you have to do something for Chinatown. And that was the beginning of the Chinatown Working Group, which came up with a plan with the Pratt, what is it called? It's the Pratt Institute, but it's a special community planning organization at Pratt. We gave them, I don't know, $135,000. We got them for cheap because it was just after the 2008 financial collapse, so everybody wanted some money. So Pratt came up with a plan. We tweaked it a little bit. And it is essentially a way, the problem with Chinatown is that it is a commercial district, commercial zoning district with no height caps. So it encourages local landlords who are the anchor of Chinatown. They're mostly local Chinese landlords, small landlords. It encourages them, the current zoning encourages them to sell to hotel developers who can build really tall buildings. So what our plan is, in a nutshell, is to lower the allowance of commercial size and raise the residential size so that it allows the local residential landlord who owns a 5-story building, typically, to maybe build another 2 stories, which will allow for more housing, but not luxury housing, because now you have only 7 stories tall. That's not luxury view. So it's really a way of gathering more affordable housing and no more hotels. That's really the idea. Keep the landlords here and prevent luxury housing. Well, that's where we are, I think. Jishun, you want to talk about the role of activism in the Chinatown Working Group?
Yeah, okay.
Jishun.
Hi everyone. I will just build on what Rob has been explaining, and then I'll go ahead with some of our organizing aspects. Many people would say that gentrification and displacement in Chinatown is the whole New York City is inevitable. They say, oh, the rent is increasing, but that's the way it is. That's the nature of it. No, it is by design. As Rob has explained how the developments pressure came down to Chinatown and the Lower East Side. because these luxury high-rises, they're going to drive up the rent and the real estate tax of the surrounding area. So that gives the incentive or the motive for the landlord to increase their rent, for both the tenants and the commercial and the residential. As a result, you can see the increasing rent, right? In the whole New York City, but Chinatown Lower East Side is also a very good example of that. And the landlord, see that the low-income families, how come they still live here? I can totally, demolish the building, take it out of the rent stabilized status, make it market rate condos. They can make more money. So that's more incentive for them to kick out the low-income families and the commercial tenants, on the first floor. That's why you can see a lot of eviction cases happen, especially after 2008. And what about public housing? Well, they are not immune from the displacement because now the city government want to privatize the public land, use the public land to build, market rate housing too. And you can see the two bridges waterfront, which is blocked by this tower, but they want to build a bunch of 70 to 80-story high-rises. One already came up, the one Manhattan Square, which right next to where Tony lives. So, all these shows that without the protective rezoning in our community, you can see all these things happening. Initially, when the Chinatown Working Group came up, it's only protecting the Chinatown. That's why it's called Chinatown Working Group. But they intentionally try to exclude the Lower East Side from protection, excluding Nitre and the waterfront. Because of the organizing efforts of the coalition to protect Chinatown and the Lower East Side, many of the groups, including the Chinese Staff Workers Association, the National Mobilization Against West Shops, and many other groups, that the Chinatown Working Group were forced to include the Lower East Side as well, because we demand equal protection as the East Village. Because if the East Village, the majority white middle class area, can get the protection against luxury high-rises, why not Chinatown and the Lower East Side? So throughout the years, because of the mobilizing, that the plan was able to ask for many of the protections, such as the high limits on any new developments, and truly affordable housing, and also discourage the privatization of public land. So this plan in 2015 was rejected by Mayor de Blasio as too ambitious, because as we all know, he's been siding with the big developers against the interests of the community. Since then, we have seen, again and again, many examples because of the lack of protective rezoning, such as eviction of tenants like the 8385 Bowery, such as the two bridges, now 4 more towers being proposed, like the Excel Tower, and also the various efforts from the city government to privatize Nitre, the public land, and also the displacing the small businesses like the Jinfeng restaurant, and also causing workers to lose their jobs. So all of this shows that whether you're in the Two Bridges area, Nitre housing, core of Chinatown, and now the latest example across the street, they want to do like a 20 to 30-story high with market rate units. All of this shows that we need to come together, as one, to try to push for this full Chinatown Working Group rezoning plan to be passed. And now we have a good opportunity because this upcoming election, we shows that, whoever be the next council member, whoever be the next mayor, should support this community-led efforts. And Chris Marte, for one, who's behind it, is the only candidate to support Chinatown Working Group plan. And our upcoming, if you want to learn more about the plan, we also have an upcoming town hall. It will be this coming Monday, 6:30. And if you sign up, I saw a sign-up sheet passing around, then you can get more information about the town hall, seeing different parts of the neighborhood coming together, and learn what's next in fighting to pass this plan. Thank you very much.
So, kind of amazingly, we're standing in the one spot in the neighborhood where you can't see the Excel Tower, but what we know is if developers and real estate power has their way, they would want want this entire neighborhood to look like these massive luxury glass towers. And we have Tony here, who is going to tell us about the experience of the construction of One Manhattan Square and how it impacted the neighborhood and everyday residents within the neighborhood. Thanks, Tony.
Hi, everybody. I live at 82 Rutgers Slip, which is right next door to One Manhattan Square, or Extel Tower. Now, during the construction of the Extel Tower, first of all, they lied to us. They said first that it was going to be 35 floors. Then they switched it to something like 44 floors, then 50, 60, 70. Now it's at 80, 88 floors, something like that. But it's almost 100 floors high because there's some engineering equipment in there. So it goes about 1,000 feet up into the sky. Now, during that construction, like I said, I live right next door. We felt, you know, all the pounding, the vibration. We experienced sinkholes from that vibration that opened up and swallowed up streets filled with water. We experienced transformer explosions. We experienced water main breaks, all in the name of putting up a luxury high-rise on the Lower East Side, which is supposed to be one of the most affordable neighborhoods, you know, still one of the most affordable neighborhoods in New York City. And one of the best neighborhoods in New York City, right? Lower East Side and Chinatown, really, really, if you want to, you know, live and be able to live through modest means, you can still live here. But as they keep on trying to put up these high rises and, you know, bring the property values up, you can bet that all the prices of everything around this is going to go up. Now, we as groups, we have a couple of different groups. We have Lesson, we have CSWA, and we had NMAS, Chinatown Working Group. We are fighting for, right now, we have a lawsuit, a pending lawsuit. We won our lawsuit previously to stop 4 new towers to come up. But the developers appealed, and judges, I hate to say that judges can be brought, but the judges had no interest in what the legitimacy of our case was and overturned the decision. So we have another pending lawsuit, and we need actually everybody who's listening right now to get involved to help us to win that lawsuit. Because everybody here, you know, they have money, but, you know, we're fighting for our home. And when you're fighting for your home, there's pretty much nothing you won't do. You know, we are more inspired. You know, they think that we're crazy and they think that we're stopping progress, but this isn't progress. If you're, you know, displacing the people that live here, that been here, that made this area livable, because at one point, you know, when I was growing up, this area was not livable. There was, you know, massive drug infestation and crime. And not to say that we've gotten rid of all of it, but this neighborhood has changed quite a bit. And, you know, we like it the way it is. We don't want luxury high-rises, and we don't want the prices to go up, and we don't want to feel in the middle of the night your apartment moving, because that's happened to me. The whole apartment moved in the middle of the night. So we're asking everybody to, like I said, if you can hear me, you know, and you live in this neighborhood, even if you don't live in this neighborhood, because it's not just happening here. They're making land grabs everywhere in every borough. The politicians that we have right now, they're interested in nothing but profit and not people. So, you know, if you, like I said, are interested in keeping New York affordable, please, you know, like Zijo said, you know, we have a Zoom town hall Monday. Register. get involved, because we, like I said, we have, you know, people power is one of the things that you can't stop. And our dreams are, you know, people might think that our dreams are crazy, but I don't think they're crazy enough. All right, thank you.
Okay, so the reason that we're gathered here at 59 Henry Street is to attempt to understand exactly what zoning is. And the thing that's tricky about a zoning plan is that it's written in the language of zoning. So we're going to take a moment to try to understand this language and use 59 Henry Street, which is this large lot across the street, as a way to understand how zoning works, and also the way in which the Chinatown Working Group rezoning plan will help curb the type of development like we see in One Manhattan Square, all this luxury development that everybody's been talking about. So you can see here on the sign that Violet's holding up, this is the building that is currently proposed for this site. And it's been approved and it's currently under construction. This is a 227-foot height building. There are 21 stories. There's 80 rental units in the building, and it's not mandatory that any of it is affordable, so they're all going to be luxury units. It's 98,000 square feet, and 57,000 square feet of that building is residential units. And they're also providing 26 parking spots within the building. So you can see there's this massive luxury tower that's completely out of context with the rest of the neighborhood. And the way that the Chinatown Working Group works or operates is that there are different districts within the zoning plan. Currently, we are standing inside of, and Rob, you can correct anything that I get wrong, but currently we're standing within District 1, which is a special preservation district. And the way in which, if the plan were to be passed, if we had the Chinatown Working Group plan, the type of building that we would get is the one that we're showing here. So this is 59 Henry Street with the zoning plan. And just to give you some of the details of what would exist on 59 Henry Street if the zoning plan were passed, there would be an 85-foot height restriction. There'd be a mandatory 45% affordable housing. There would be a requirement for anti-harassment and anti-demolition certification. There would be, within this district, within District 1, there would be protections for existing manufacturing. There would be a prohibition on new hotels and new dormitories. And the storefront commerce would be limited to 25,000 square feet, and there wouldn't be any big box stores, so we would protect the local commercial businesses and the neighborhood businesses that serve the existing community. All of the signage that currently exists within the Lower East Side in Chinatown that really makes the neighborhood what it is would be legalized. And then there would be new uses allowed within the zoning plan. So there would be new uses of wholesale produce and potentially small-scale manufacturing like ceramics. So that just gives you a sense of currently what's going up on the site and potentially how the zoning plan would protect this site, but also the neighborhood in general.
I'm just going to reiterate a point that actually Rob made earlier, which is that the new zoning plan proposes a much lower building. However, it's open to growth, and it is actually supporting the natural densification of the neighborhood, which is important to keeping this a neighborhood that is affordable. Only it caps that growth in order to disincentivize the developers who might want to go all the way to the sky and create all that extra market or even luxury housing. So this is not a plan that says no to change. It just is trying to make the change that supports the neighborhood and its community.
And so the question is, how are we going to get this plan? How are we going to approve the plan? And like Zishan said, our best next step is to support the politicians and representatives who have advocated for the plan. And Chris Marte is the one candidate who has supported the plan from the beginning and has constantly advocated for this plan. So Chris is here to just tell us why he supports the plan.
Hi everyone, my name is Christopher Marte. I'm a candidate here for District 1. What's interesting is in 2017, we ran against a two-term incumbent, Margaret Chin, who's our council member now. And nobody thought the race was possible or even on the radar. And we literally ran on the Chinatown Working Group plan. And we were able to connect with so many residents because they understood what was happening to their community. And it was the first time people couldn't relate to zoning. You know, people didn't have to go to a community board meeting or read a textbook. They felt it. You know, they felt the shade. They felt their building with cracks on their basement and their staircases. And like many of us, they just thought this was what happens. You know, there's nothing we can do about it. But the community 8 years ago knew that this was coming. The East Village was able to prevent it, and residents in Chinatown, the Lower East Side, came together and said, let's do something about it before it's too late. Our city government, mostly our council member and our mayor, said it was too ambitious. They're like, we can't do this plan. But as many of us know, and as we've seen in the past 12 years, there's really good reason why they thought it was too ambitious. Because they didn't think the Xtel Tower was too ambitious. Because they didn't think developments like this that build zero affordable housing was too ambitious. When every person running for office says we have an affordability crisis, we have a housing crisis, but we're not enacting a zoning policy that helps create that. And so that's why we're running again, and this is why it's such a crucial election. A council person has a yes and no vote on any new development, has the yes and no vote on any type of rezoning. And we just not only see it here in the Lower East Side in Chinatown, but now we started seeing it even in Soho and NoHo, where if you look at where the development is going to happen on that plan, it's going to happen on Canal Street. So it's literally rezoning Chinatown in the skies of creating racial justice in a white neighborhood. So when you look at these plans, you start to think, why? Why is that not too ambitious to rezone a neighborhood that's much larger than the Lower East Side in Chinatown? And like Zishan and Tony said, it's because of profit, right? These developments are given as of right. They could do literally whatever they want to it. They could bring big box retail and crush a mom and pop shop. They could create a one-floor loft apartment and pretty much destroy 20 units on a floor. And when you start thinking about it, it creates displacement for all our residents. And so we've been fighting really hard, and we're lucky that the coalition has been building. And we are thankful for Citygroup to making it visual for everybody, right? Because when you're knocking on a door and you're trying to explain what the Chinatown Working Group plan is, it's a mouthful. But when you show the photos, like that photo of what this could be to preserve our neighborhood, the unique culture of it, compared to what's gonna happen, something that has no culture, that doesn't preserve affordability, just shows how dire we need to pass this plan. And so we could do this. You know, we lost the last election by 200 votes. If everyone here just tells 4 people to go out and vote, we can win. And this is what's at stake. And so if you have any questions, feel free to ask me, but this is why we're doing this, and this is why we've been out every single day this week throughout the Lower East Side in Chinatown, talking to neighbors, doing walkthroughs, doing bone sap, because this might be the last hope. Thank you, guys.
We now have a special moment where, if you can see across the way on the construction fence outside of 59 Henry Street, there's the construction sign that shows what will be constructed. And yes, this building is going up on this site, but like everybody said today, we're going to band together to stop more displacement, more overdevelopment, these massive towers in the neighborhood. So what we've done is we've created our alternative construction sign.
Do you want to hold it up, Georgia?
And we're gonna go in and up across the street.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're gonna go for the towers.
Good. Guys, can you let the car down? So good. Pretty amazing.
This is what we need. Conversation about zoning, or if anybody else wants to say anything, you're welcome to. But yeah, we're just all here. We're here to. Anybody can speak up now, or we'll stick around for a little bit if you want to talk about this more.
I'll just say that I experienced displacement in this neighborhood, and specifically in the building behind 59 Henry Street. Some of you may recognize it as the yellow building on East Broadway. These developers bought that building and kicked out like half the people in there. So not only did this lot that used to serve as a community parking lot, that was displaced, but also like some of the units in the buildings neighboring this construction zone. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to add that. And my family was in there for 30 years. So, yeah.
I don't know if anybody has any questions about zoning or anything else, or we can.
I have a question. In these like luxury high-rises, like One Manhattan Square, is there any data about what the actual occupancy rate in them is?
Oh, the occupancy rate, for a while they were really keeping a close track on it.
Yeah.
They had rented about 20% was the last thing that I remember, and then they were offering so many different incentives. They were like giving people all the amenities for free.
Yeah.
Because the building is basically still, I don't even think it's half full.
Because I think that's a big talking point that a lot of people don't realize is that a big chunk of these new developments are empty. They're not built for anybody to actually occupy. It's just this kind of money laundering via real estate scam. And
It's a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Because when you spend that kind of money to buy here, and they've attracted a lot of foreign buyers.
yeah,
So what they do is they say, oh, well, you invest this money here, we'll get you an automatic green card. Very, very easy for anybody with a lot of money to get a green card now. So we're giving away permanent resident, and which will eventually lead to citizenship. We don't know who has all this money and spending it here. We could be bringing, you know, criminal elements into the United States just because they have money.
yeah.
So,
Well, but even like that element aside, just the point that stuff's being built with not actually much of a, after it's built and that initial development money changes hands, there's not really like much of an incentive to even really have it occupied or to contribute even in terms of people to the neighborhood. Like that's an element that is kind of, yeah,
It doesn't contribute at all to the
Yeah.
housing crunch.
yeah,
And
Like-
that building was advertised abroad for a full year before it was advertised here.
Yeah.
So what Tony is describing is exactly the plan for them. It was just a way to obtain a lot of revenue. And so it's an investment. It's a great big piece of modern art for somebody to store money in.
we also remember people can use that. People that have that kind of money, they'll come and they'll use that like as a hotel when they come for a weekend.
yeah.
So those people, they come here and they leave. They're, like Rob said, they're not contributing anything to the neighborhood. You know what I've noticed that they have contributed to the neighborhood? That the people that do live there, they let their dogs defecate all over our neighborhood, and they don't pick it up. And they just leave it there. That's what I've noticed.
I have a question. Have any of the mayoral candidates endorsed the Chinatown Working Group plan?
Yeah, we did walking with some of them, give them a walkthrough of different parts of the plan, and I will just say that the Chinatown Working Group has not endorsed anyone for mayor. We've walked with a few candidates for borough president as well, and I will say that both Brad Quillman, Lindsay Boylan have expressed their support for the plan.
They've actually tweeted out.
Yes, yes. Beyond that, we haven't, it's been kind of crickets, honestly. So, this is another way if you want to get involved, call people up, call your representatives, call the candidates, tweet them, get on your social media and ask them why they aren't supporting this. Because the more they hear about it, and we saw this in action actually on Monday. We had a candidate for District 1 show up who's never supported us before just for the photo op. So, be serious about it and make sure people are really actually supporting the plan and not just looking like they're doing that. Because in campaign season, a lot of that happens. And we're just really grateful to Chris for standing with us from the beginning. That's the kind of elected official that all across the city.
I'll share something. So my name is Jennifer. I live in Knickerbocker Village on Cherry Street and Monroe. I live there, oh my God. I lived there my whole life. Oh my God, this is so weird. And now, Knickerbocker Village is trying to fight off being sold to LPSM Development. And in 2019, they were ranked New York City's second worst evictors. And in 2018, they were ranked New York City's sixth worst evictors. And I think growing up here, I went to school here. My family, found a home here. My dad fled Vietnam. And now this community is just changing into not a place that I love anymore, but a place that is unrecognizable, unfamiliar, unaffordable, and I think all of it is very inhumane. Usually I'm not even like this emotional, but I just feel like I'm not used to so many people's attention at once, because I think all the time I'm around people who know about the issue, like Zisha and Caitlin, and so it's like a very new feeling for me to explain to someone, what housing organizing looks like. Whether maybe they're my friend from college or just someone new that moves in, and it's a weird feeling to, have friends move in or even make friends that are not from here, but yet they care about social justice, but yet they're not involved in local politics. I don't know if that makes sense. So, yeah, I just, I think about how they took Pathmark away, and I remember during that time, my family was displaced because of Hurricane Sandy. Oh my God. And now, we still don't have a new grocery store. And, when I say, let's go to Trader Joe's, my mom's like, that's so far. And so, yeah, we have a lot of work to do. And, yeah, we can't let people keep taking things away from us because father's home in
My grandparents.
CSWA. And thank you all for listening.